All right, the next aspect of our fetch work for week 2 is going to be teaching our dog to give it. Now, the give it cue specifically means for the dog to drop the object into our hand. The only difference between this and the drop it cue is where our other hand goes when we offer our dog a treat. So, to set our dog up for success, what we're going to do is as we offer them a treat right to their nose, place our other hand directly under their mouth so that way the object lands in our hand. So the dog is learning that when the object lands in your hand, they also get reinforced. So as you're going to see with Molly right here, the only difference between the last video from Drop It is that I am now placing my opposite hand underneath her mouth and I'm going to be saying give it as the verbal cue.
Is this guy nuts,
Okay,
or what's going on? So, but he'd come prepared, and he had things to show me that were solid ideas.
I saw some inferior, more so
Yes,
paintings
good.
on the internet that I knew weren't done by normal. A dozen or more legitimate Canadian galleries, some of them top flight galleries, preparing them. A dozen or more galleries, eBay channels. Some people contacted me, hassled me for being quiet about it. Star Dreamer into Silence is definitely, I won't be saying,
Drop it?
I won't be standing up for
Yes, good job.
Once I decided I was going to do something about it, I wasn't going to screw around.
Give
And
it.
then I proceeded to
Yes,
upload more than
good.
1,000 images of fake Morrison things to Morrison.
So as you can see in that video, the timing of the verbal cue is pretty important too. As you're teaching this at the beginning, you want to say your verbal cue as the dog is dropping it into your hand. And I say drop it, but I really mean give it. In a sense of the dog is learning the words give it mean to let go of the object and place it in your hand. Now, as your dog gets the idea, you can say the verbal cue sooner with your hand present. So there's a couple things happening. There's a context cue of your hand being out there, also the verbal cue already being established with give it, meaning to drop the object in your hand. So what you're doing is you're pairing the verbal cue with the context cue of your hand, so then your dog can learn to seek out your hand. So you can kind of experiment as long as your dog is succeeding with moving your hand into different locations, whether it's further away from your body or using your opposite hand that you are normally using. What that's going to do is going to establish fluency of the behavior, meaning give it dropping the object into your hand. And also, if you notice in that video, I said drop it with my hand present, and she learned to drop it on the ground. So that's kind of strengthening the opposite behavior of drop it with my hand being present. So she still knew what to do even though my hand was out there. So we're kind of doing a lot of experimenting, a lot of strengthening of cues. And if at any point your dog is struggling, make it easier for them, whether it's going to a more familiar object or placing your hand closer to their mouth or closer to their head so they don't have to search for your hand. But as you can see, they get the idea pretty quickly, and it also helps to transfer this to newer objects once they get the idea. But again, with this give it cue, we want them to succeed. So still offer them that treat and reward them when they drop it into your hand. Even if it falls out of your hand, like you can see, I dropped a couple. If they're doing their part, go ahead and hook them up.